back to another episode of the Racing Records podcast. I'm Ryan Sharkey, and as usual, I'm joined by Dean Haggerty and Martin Gillian. We've also got top upcoming trainer Leanne Breen joining us here today. It's a pleasure to have you on,
Yeah,
Leanne.
thanks for having me on. Yeah.
And Leanne, how did you get into racing? What was your influence?
I was previously working for a few Group 1 trainers. It had always been an ambition. Most recently was Mark Johnson. And when I came back from Mark Johnson's, I had the opportunity to set up a yard and take out the license. So that's how it all started.
And then obviously you recently got your first win with Latchet, and that was just phenomenal. A good race and a good win.
Yeah, it was good. We had a few runners before, but Latchet was bought, and she was bought from Jim Boulders, and it was always a question mark. She wasn't bought for very expensive, so I was wondering would there be much left in her in regards to winning. And it was a good relief when she did win. Now she's capable. I'd say she's capable of winning again now this year, and then she'll probably go breeding after that.
And you're a dual purpose trainer, is that right?
Yeah, dual purpose. Most of our runners, well, all of our runners have been on the flat, but we have a few jump horses in. We're just yet to run them. We actually we had a few summer horses ready to go before the whole lockdown, so it kind of threw us off. But yeah, dual purpose.
And you've recently got a lot of support from the likes of Galaxy Horse Racing. They've thrown a few horses your way.
Yeah, they have two
That's
horses.
been a big help.
Yeah, they're great. They're great supporters of the yard. They have two horses, Lottie Loveheart and Parker's Hill. Two horses that'll be able to give them a lot of good days out and a lot of fun. But yeah, they're great supporters of the yard, and lucky to have them.
What's the facilities like up in Warren Point though?
Yeah, it's great. We train off a Wexford Sand circular gallop, and what we've noticed with it is a lot of the horses, they're coming from big training centres, and it's getting them to put on a bit of condition, muscles that they didn't even know they had, and just it's different for them, but it's starting to work. So it's working well. We've a lot of turnout paddocks. That's good for any horses with any respiratory issues. They always spend a lot of time out in the fields, and we have use of a hill gallop as well, and we use it for our fast work. So it's good, and it's the horses' first few months of training. You're trying to get into routine and what works for your horses and in your yard, but it's all came together well now.
And they're nice and close beside the beach there as well. I'm sure you use that as well, do you?
Yeah, we do. It's a mile-long beach, and the first time we take the horses to it, from coming from these big yards, it's a real shell shock for them, even, seeing the waves coming past their feet, but they love it, and it freshens them up. You'll notice the next day when you pull the lorry around, they're prancing at the door ready to get on. So it's nice for them, especially because you're not buying 2-year-olds in your first season. You're buying older horses, handicappers, and they need to change the scenery. They need to freshen up, and it just keeps them sweet.
And obviously, how are you coping with this COVID-19 pandemic going on? Like, you're a smaller yard than some of the bigger ones out there. So how's it affecting you personally?
Yeah, it's I've been very, very lucky. All of my owners, whenever it happened, obviously there was, I was worried about people pulling horses out, or because we didn't have a date, we had no idea what was happening. But all of my owners, like, fair play to them, they all stuck by me, and we just got through it together. And the horses, we gave a handful of horses, a real quiet week at the start. The jump horses, they've had 4 weeks off, and it's just been pulling together. Obviously the owners haven't been up in the yard, but we've been able to send plenty of videos, pictures via WhatsApp, and we're all happy enough the way the horses are going now that we've got a date. We can actually start getting the fast work back into them, start getting the weight off some of them, and start making plans for some of the horses.
Have you made any plans thus far?
Well, we don't have the fixture list, the actual races for the handicappers, but we have the Premier Handicaps and the group and black type races. So there wouldn't be too much to make plans for. Obviously, we have a nice horse there, and if he improved maybe 10 pounds, we could look at him for a Premier Handicap. He's just been gelded, so there is that. There's a lot of room for improvement. He's put on about 15 kg, and he's been working really, really well. So that's probably the only horse that I would be looking at. Like I say, it's first season, full season training. So a Premier Handicap, if we can get a runner in it, we'll be happy.
Yeah, it's a real setback, this pandemic, for you for the first season, obviously.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I got my license out in July last year, so I was already halfway through the season anyway. I said I'd give, a few horses a few runs on the turf, nothing serious. I said I'll wait till the all-weather season and I'll give it a good run. And we did have a real good all-weather season, but this season I had a few soft ground horses, and they were going to be entered for the Leopardstown of the Wednesday before it got called off. So that was a bit of a curveball. You have to back off them, try and wind them down a bit. But that's just, look, everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah, they really are. It's a real unfortunate thing to happen to someone like you just getting going.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I had one of the owners, and he said, look, it's probably one of the hardest things you'll ever have to deal with. So you've got it over and done with now. So hopefully that is it done with now. Hopefully we can just, we had a few meetings behind closed doors before it all went into lockdown, and it was incredibly managed. You wouldn't get within, never mind 2 meters, you wouldn't get within 4 meters of someone, that we were all really respectful. We wanted the racing to keep going, so I'd imagine there'll be no issues with the restarting.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a disaster that stopped. Obviously, they did it for precaution and just keep cases down, which, in fairness, has worked. But it'll just be really good to get back on track and get going again.
That's it. And some of the older horses, they could take a few runs just to get to their optimum fitness again. But look, there's bigger problems in the world. We'll get round it one way or another.
Yeah, exactly. And you have Lenovia in training. How's?
She's okay. She was a horse bought off Halford. She's been far from straightforward. She had a respiratory problem that's been resolved. But it took a long time to resolve. Like if it comes right the way it should, she'll win again. But it's just one of these things. You buy horses out of horse and training sales, and you don't know them, and you just kind of, to tell you the truth, you'd be waiting for an issue with them, and hers came up, and you just fix it, and you kick on with them, get their confidence back up. Obviously, any respiratory issue is a cutting out mid race, so it takes a lot, especially for a filly, to get her confidence back up. And I'd say the lockdown hasn't took any harm in her, because she's had an extra few pieces to really get her drive back on. And yeah, I think if it's fixed, she'll win. So.
And Text Boxes is another one that was on course to sort of win there just before this happened. Running very good races and was really well supported.
Yeah, ticks the boxes. He's an 8-year-old sprinter. We claimed him out Laytown, and like you said, he probably should have won 2 by now. But you know what Dundalk's like, it's competitive. You could run a race 10 times at Dundalk and there'll be a different winner each time. What we found was he was winning over 6 and 7 in England. In Ireland, we tend to hold our horses up a bit more. So he was very keen. He doesn't want to sit out the front. He wants to sit second or third. And in Ireland, they weren't going a good enough pace for him, and he was getting too keen and not seeing the race out. So we dropped him back to 5, and he ran a blinder. Now he missed the jump, but I'd say next time over 5, maybe at a stiffer track, he'd be very competitive.
And what would you say? I know you own some of the horses there that you train yourself. What would you say for new owners coming in? Like, how would you attract them into the yard?
What I did for a lot of the horses was I actually a trainer told me the best way to do it was to buy a horse, bring it home, get it to run, and then sell it. And I've done that with a few of them, and they've been bought. There's no better stage than on the TV or at the racetrack with the horse. You speak to an owner and say, that horse, or we have another two for sale at home, and that there's been working pretty well for me. So I think I'll keep doing that. Obviously, I have owners who are waiting for the sales to kick off, but then we'll get another few in. But for now, there's a good team. They're mainly handicappers, but if you got them all to win a race this year, you'd be more than happy.
Yeah. And how many stables do you have there? Like, how many horses could you hold?
There's 16 in the main yard, and there's 4 up the top yard, so there's 20 altogether.
And how many of them are currently occupied?
We've 10 in the main yard and 3 up the top yard, so there's 13 in altogether.
Well, you picked most of my questions there, Ryan. So that's thanks for that. I'd just like to say, Leanne, actually, I live in England rather than Ireland, like the two boys there. But I did come over to Dundalk and watch Latchet win. My one visit to Dundalk. So thanks very much for that. We had a few pounds on it, or a few euros, I should say, I guess.
Yeah.
So how does the future look for you? How have you got planned, like, any targets that you want to hit over the remaining part of the year, or is everything still just up in the air?
No, of course we still have we're all in the same boat. Yes, we've lost half the season, but if they HRI, they plan to extend the season out. I'll just my plans are to get, if I could get every horse to win at least one race, I'd have done my job for each of the owners. I like having a good campaign at Dundalk. Dundalk is 20 minutes from our yard. It's fiercely competitive, but I think there's a lot of opportunities there. So I will probably go to the July sales again and the October Newmarket sales, and I'll pick up a few real all-weather horses, some even with Irish form, even at Dundalk form. That's even better. And I'm going to aim for a real strong campaign there this winter.
And just looking at Dundalk there, it always appears to me from the outside there's a lot of horses don't get in because there's so many horses being entered for every single race. Does that ever give you a problem?
Yeah, the balloting system is it's ludicrous. Some weeks, there's over 100 entries, especially in Ireland. 45 to 65 horses. It makes up the bulk of the horses, whether we like it or not. I think we should accommodate for these races. I think England, the all-weather racing, they could have two all-weather meetings a day, and we struggle to get one a week. And we're meant to be the home of Irish racing, and the thoroughbred leaders of the world, and we only have one all-weather track. There is plans to make another one, but I really do think that if they put Dundalk on twice a week, it would, even every other week, it would really lighten the load. It would help owners out. There's not worse than phoning an owner and saying, yeah, we've been balloted out again. And they're just, especially for the horses, it's not fair on them either. Trainers can't make certain plans. So hopefully we get a few more meetings at Dundalk this year.
Yeah, it must be very difficult to train a horse to get it to its peak and then ultimately can't run because of the balloting system there. So
yeah,
hopefully they can find a better solution.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think that maybe building a new track down somewhere like Tipperary or the Curragh would see a lot more sort of southern trainers and all that not come to Dundalk anymore?
I think it depends. Obviously, if you have the all-weather track on your doorstep, you're going to go to it. But I think it depends if they put the exact same surface as Dundalk, if they put it the same, Dundalk's left-handed, if maybe they're going to put it in as a right-handed track. So I think people will still train to the horse, and say he likes it better at Tip. So we're gonna travel the 3 or 4 hours down to Tipperary for it. I think that's a given anyway. You're gonna go where the horse will win. But yeah, no, definitely. No one likes traveling their horses for hours and hours either. It's not fair on staff to have them in the 9 o'clock in Tipperary and expect them to come home and get up and ride another 5 lots next morning. So you take all that into consideration. But listen, if Tipperary had another track in the morning and I had one for Dundalk, one in Tipperary, I'd have no issues in running them in either. I wouldn't think that way. Whatever, it wouldn't be the handiest solution. It'd be where the horses would win.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment of that, really. And
And have
Martin, I
they
interrupt.
recently have they not relayed the track at Dundalk as well? Will that is that a different type of service, or is it just the same service as it was before?
Yeah, I think it's the same surface. That's Andrew Bowen who does that. It's a lovely surface. I rode in it around Dundalk and on private gallops, and it is. I think just the last surface, it was just getting a bit old. So that I was actually passing Dundalk. I seen it all coming out the other day. Hopefully it rides a wee. It needs to be a bit more forgiving. Some people are hoping it'll be like Suddle. It won't. I wouldn't imagine it'll be anything like that now. And obviously it's not Peta, so I'd imagine it'll just be similar to the old surface, but a lot safer. And obviously the first 6 months, it's only going to be bedding in. I've a horse here, and he absolutely loves Suddle, so I'll be taking advantage of it and entering him as soon as it's available, and try and get it. Try and get it when it's riding slow.
Okay, anything from you, Dean?
Yeah, hi Leanne. Dundalk, as you say, is just 20 minutes down the road. I'm a big fan of the racing at Dundalk. I think, like yourself, I think it could be on at least one other time in the week. I know maybe finding the prize money or whatever for, maybe it would be an issue or whatever, but I think the racing that it offers is good for the owners that a lot of people forget about maybe in Irish racing.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on Dundalk overall? Would you prefer to head to Dundalk, or would you prefer, I don't know, have you sent any over to England at all?
No, I try. I know that there's a few horses here, and if I probably took them over, they it'd be a guaranteed winner. It's one of those things you really do at the your last resort. Firstly, the owners don't want to pay extra if the horse can run in Ireland, and also they want to see their horses win.
Yeah.
I think if Dundalk was on, like you say, on a Wednesday, even every other week, it would be a huge improvement to Irish racing. It's not fair on owners to expect them to pay fees and get a run every 12 weeks. That's just not, especially these horses. Dundalk do a fantastic job of catering for owners. It's improved a lot. I think it should be on, at least twice a week if they could, and it would be good for Irish racing as a whole.
Yeah, like the facilities at Dundalk, like you said, they've improved. They've built a new owners facility or owners restaurant and that upstairs. They've put the work in, so it would be nice to see now their work being rewarded and with a new surface as well. Like they've done what the trainers and the people have kind of asked. So it'd be nice to see them getting a little bit back from horse racing in Ireland by maybe having, as you say, maybe not every week, but if it was once every second or third week where there was 2 meetings in the week, it would be nice just for them to get another turn.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in England, the prize money, it isn't great now. There's no point saying it is, but for the smaller syndicates, it's only about getting winners. And I'm not saying we should cut the prize money. I think the prize money, if we can, we should hold it to the minimum of what it is now, and we shouldn't go any lower. But no, definitely we need to get more meetings on. It's our only all-weather track, and it's like you say, it's doing a great job, and they deserve a bit more.
Yeah. Out of your yard, I know most of them your own horses, Leanne, or have you many owners in?
No, thankfully, like I buy them, and I usually get them sold within the first few weeks if they have to have a run or two. They do under my colours. Latchet was bought, and she was to be sold. I mean, she was to be sold immediately as soon as she got home, and she's an older horse. I mean, she's 6 now, and I said, if she wins a race at Dundalk, I'll send her to the February sale. Which she'd sell well at, and then I just thought, for the sake of another few months, she was falling down the handicap game. I think she's more than capable, picking one up on the turf and then maybe one at Dundalk, and then I will send her to the February sale, and that'll be her. So it's different. It depends on what way things work. Sometimes owners, they see one horse in a sale and they change their mind last minute, and that's just life, isn't it? But no,
Yeah.
majority of them have owners. I got a nice French mare from the December mare sale. I picked her up that cheap that if I had to pay 10 grand for her, I would have had a handier time selling her, because she was bought cheap and people said, "What's wrong with it?" Do you
Yeah.
know, that sort of way? So I'm definitely going to run her in my colours by the looks of things. And I wouldn't imagine she'd be far from getting sold either if she gets a bit more Irish form. But yeah, look, we play it by ear.
Yeah, like Irish form has a lot to go by because, like we were just talking earlier on to Phil McEntee, and as he was saying, like if you finish a good third or fourth, and a handicap or whatever in the Curragh or Nace or somewhere that them tracks, you're a pretty good horse, and like for them buying horses in from Ireland to England, that's what they're looking at. Like so, as you say, like the Irish form has a lot to go by. And
Oh
it's not
yeah,
all just about the winners. It's the horse that maybe finishes fifth, third, fourth, fifth, that has the promise that somebody in England or their likes or Scotland will see a wee bit of potential and maybe off a nice mark will want to pick it up.
yeah, exactly. And we look at English horses the same. If we see a Class 7 at Wolverhampton, we're going to think he might not be competitive in Dundalk, because Dundalk horses, although they're running 45 to 65s, 9 times out of 10, they're still able enough horses. If they're winning around Dundalk, they're fiercely competitive. So we need to keep that in mind as well. And I think a lot of value can be got from the claimers in Ireland. I think even if you're not
Yeah,
claiming the winner, like you say, the second, third, fourth, you run him again in 2 weeks' time, all being well. There's a good chance that horse could, he could win. So there's good value, and at least that the horse is running. You can literally see the horse, see it walk back into the parade ring, be unsaddled, and then you can put your claim in if you like the horse.
yeah.
And you don't get that at sales. Sometimes you have a horse at sales, and it's there with a winter coat on it and a big fat belly, and you're going to say, well, that's a waste of time, because I'm going to take, 12 to 14 weeks to even get it near track.
Your track, yeah. They what platforms do you use? Like I was on your website last night having a look around, and that like you have a website and your social medias. Like is that how like you try and reach out to owners, or is it word of word of mouth around? Like have you local owners who are on point, or
Yeah. Yeah, we do have local owners. And social media, it's becoming a big thing. I know in the trainers course it was forced at us, go and get a website, go and get a Facebook, be active. And the first few times you start posting stuff, you're like, I wonder if anyone's even going to look at this here. And then you
yeah,
get messages from people, you get word of mouth and people calling up to the yard, and they love seeing it. Some people obviously not now, they're stuck in an office from 9 to 5, and you're posting a video of a horse doing a nice piece of work, and they love it. So it's good to, show people the facilities we have, show the people the horses that we have. And no, it generates a bit of business now.
and for any of our listeners, just for instance, listening and if they're thinking about syndicates or joining up clubs or whatever. Have you anything of the likes going, or affordable racing kind of for new opportunities for owners or anything? Or
Yeah, look, it's something we're definitely looking into. Probably when the sales start, we'll probably do 10% shares of this horse for whatever much. And the training fees, our training fees are, they're very, very competitive. So a lot of our owners, they can afford their horses maybe just with themselves or them and a friend, but it works out very cheap for syndicates to get involved. And syndicates, they're a brilliant way forward in Irish racing. I think people should be encouraged to get involved in them more. It provides an affordable way to be involved. And I worked in Australia, and the amount of syndicates and partnerships was incredible. And everyone was involved in racing, and hopefully Irish racing does go their way. It's not going to happen overnight, but it should be encouraged definitely for everyone to find a syndicate, find a racing club, and enjoy the perks of being an owner.
Yeah, that's it. Like, the perks of being an owner, and even getting on the winners enclosure in a second spot or whatever, would be a fantastic thrill. But for those lucky enough to pick up the winners enclosure and the first prize, like, it would give people such a great thrill. And I think, as you say, like, if horse racing in Ireland kind of maybe encourage syndicates a wee bit more, it might broaden the horizon for people that would think to themselves, well, I would love that, but I would never be able to afford it, or this, that, or that. And it would be a massive help too, I'm sure. For like, you see the big trainers like say Aiden and Joseph and that, like they've got their big cool moors and that, like they don't have to worry about anything. But for you know your people that's out there trying to make a pound and make a living, it would be nice for horse racing in Ireland to kind of help them as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as a trainer, you're gonna have to try your best to get something that's, you know, it's an affordable horse, but also a horse that's not going to give them, huge vet bills. And you want it to be able to run often and give them a bit of fun, and like you said, hopefully get into the winners enclosure. But the last thing you want to be giving those people is grief. You want to make it the most enjoyable experience as possible. Maybe he's only winning 45 to 65, but he's still winning for them. He's running every few weeks, and he's a good, sound, reliable horse, and that's something you want to keep in mind as well. Same with every owner. We don't want to be, oh, I can't run your horse for another 3 months or whatever. We want to be giving them horses that we can stand over.
Yeah, like and most of the racing clubs, like some of them I see, like some of them has options where the person investing gets their fair share of the prize money. Others, are just a racing club where everything goes back into the club and things. But most people are kind of just happy if they're on a winner and they get their price and they get a few pound back and they get that thrill of being wined and dined at a race course, whether it be Dundalk or Leopardstown or the Curragh, Galway, somewhere like that. There, like that's what a lot of people I would say are on the racing clubs for.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
you know,
Exactly. That
pe-
is what it's about.
people that would be at the races anyway and think to themselves, geez, I would love to, I would love to be on the parade ring pre-race and hear what's going on, and I would love to be, mixing with all the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly. And there's people that go racing. I have an owner here, and he's went racing this last 30 years, and he's only got a horse now, but he says it's always been a lifetime ambition. And that's what you want to be giving people, like you say, an owner's badge. Come in, get wined and dined, and hopefully the horse runs well, and they love it. Obviously we can't do it now, but on a Saturday morning they come in here, they have a cup of coffee and a bun, and they watch their horses, and they're you know it's great for them. It is.
Yeah, that's about all, Ryan. I have.
And you just mentioned there that the owners come to your yard. Do they do that regularly?
Yeah, before lockdown we would have owners in at least once a week, and they see their horses. We parade them around, watch them ride out, and they would just give them, fill them in on what our plans is, and where we would like to place this horse and whatnot. And most of them, they just love, being able to bring their, maybe their wife and their kids up, and that's, people are from cities coming up to us, and they just think this is amazing. It's change the scenery on a Saturday, seeing their own racehorse. So yeah, it's very nice.
And I know we were toying with the thought of making a racing club, but the likes of us that would be starting out, what advice would you just give us? Like,
I would be, I suppose, you'd have to get all your figures in order. You don't want to get 8 weeks in and go, I didn't know that was involved, or this is how much it costs to run a horse. So a bit of due diligence, but any trainer will help you out with those things. You want it to be as transparent as possible. This is what it's going to cost, and we're going to break down this, and then the next of it will be finding the right horse. You don't want to rush into the first horse that comes up. You want to find out that it's a decent horse. It'll give you plenty of fun, sound, no issues, and that it's able to pick up a few races in Ireland. And I've had owners, they're coming to me and say, I want a horse that'll win here. So, and they're very specific because that's the local track and that's it. Do you want it to win here? I've had people in and I've said, this horse is lovely form at Leopardstown. Would you not, would you think about it? No, I want to win at Dundalk. So then you scrap that and you think, okay, totally different horse, and you need to think of that as well. Where do you want to be standing in the winner's enclosure? Do you want to be standing at Downpatrick on a summer's evening, or do you want to be on Dundalk on a winter's night? So it's one of those things.
Definitely. And Dean, you're gonna jump on there, are you?
Oh no, it's just like as it was Ryan was saying there, Leanne. Like we were toying with the idea last night. Like we've talked about it, I think before. Like in something going forward, I think everybody, well, me and the other two lads would like to kind of set up and get involved in, and there was a bit of a response online whenever we looked at it. Like, so as you say, I was involved in one last year. Like, so it was an eye opener to costs and things that that some you wouldn't maybe expect with horse racing or whatever, but it would be nice to get something set up. So it would definitely.
Yeah, that's good.
Ryan can be the man there.
And would you advise maybe buying something at a claiming race rather than sales, or?
I suppose it depends on your budget and what you're looking for. I mean, if some owners and they won't buy a horse under a certain rating. If you want an 80 rated horse, you're not going to start looking into claimers. You're going to probably be looking, at sales for that horse. But as well as that, you need to remember that the price that is given on a claimer, that's the price. Do you know what I mean? There's no VAT. Yeah. You're not going to get stung with transport fees and all, from England. And I like that there, because I can say, I like this horse. He's 15,000, he's 10,000, 5,000, wherever he is. And that's what he is. Do you know? And I like that there. I can see him running. And if he doesn't run great, I usually don't claim him. I give it to that there. And as well as that, he's running in Ireland, that horse. And you can, I have a lot of contacts with jockeys and other trainers. I can usually phone them up and they'll give me the lowdown on the horse, whether they think he's, going to do our job or, maybe give him a miss. And that's a big help as well as the Irish form.
Would you have, would you use many jockeys, Leanne, or would anybody come up and ride out for you?
We've had a few jockeys. We do a lot of work mornings at Dundalk, when it was available during the winter.
Yeah.
Oisin Orr, he was coming off. Gavin Ryan's rode for us and Ronan Whelan. They'd all ride a bit of work around Dundalk. Obviously this year we'll be using the best available. That's just one of the things. Yeah. Some of the best jockeys in Ireland, you could phone Oisin, and Dermot Weld has something in the race, and he works for Dermot Weld, and that's he's gone. But that's it. I'd be awfully friendly with Oisin. Gavin Ryan, he rode Latcha. Yeah, he's a good
Donegal man. You see, I like that. I like that.
So no, look, they've all obviously they've been with big trainers for years ahead of us now. It's going to be the best available, and I think in Ireland we're very, very lucky. There's rarely a jockey he's useless. You know what I mean? They're all very talented set of lads. Even the apprentices coming up, some of them. I mean, Gavin Ryan for £5 is great value, and there's fellas coming up behind him, and they really make the difference. But like I say, it's best available this year.
I think Gavin Ryan's a steal at stealing £5 there, like for the rider he is. He's, I can see why so many trainers used him last year for his claim. Like he's a phenomenal rider, and it's no wonder Donica picked him up.
Yeah, no, he's very good, and he's very honest, which is a huge thing. You don't want to waste time on the horses and whatnot. You want to, if it's good, it's good. If it's not, maybe we'll move her on or whatever. He won on Latcha, and the reason it was actually funny. I had a bit of work going at Dundalk, and one of the jockeys couldn't make it, and Ronan came out. Gavin will ride that filly for you, and we got on well, and obviously he had won on Latchet before, so that's
for gentlemen.
that came about. Yeah, so
Yeah.
good to use them if they know the horse as well. She's straightforward enough, but for someone that's won on her with £5, it was a no-brainer to get him to ride her again.
Oisin's a good horseman as well. Like, and it's no surprise to see him riding out his claim now or last season there, and like he could have a big future now especially with him being working for Mr. Weld. Like it's a great opportunity for him.
Yeah, he's very good technically on a horse. Like he can, he can judge things very well. Some apprentices, maybe they're just lacking in mileage, but he rode out his claim well. He was obviously champion apprentice twice, and he's very good on a horse as well. And keeps things straightforward. So he's very useful.
You were talking about jockeys there, and have you ever played with the fact that you could go on maybe and do jockeys when you were younger, be a jockey when you were younger?
Yeah. In England, and that's probably the best place I would have started out. But I mean, I only would have been riding to go training eventually. Do you know that sort of way? And it became apparent that you're probably better. In England it's fiercely competitive, and you're probably better staying and maybe being a barn manager in a Group 1 yard than running the roads in England, and maybe missing half the horses that are in the yards and how they're being trained individually. And that was a big thing. So no, I made that decision, probably when I was about 18, that I'm gonna train. That's the end game. And from then on, I actually used to go around in these yards and I'd keep a journal, and it would be, such and such does this if a horse does this. And I came home with 6 journals back to back written with notes. And when you start training, they're okay, but you learn more by doing. You train your own horses, you have your own facilities, your own owners, and you find things out a lot quicker with your own horses. But thankfully our horses are running well. We had 6 runners last year, 2 thirds, 2 seconds, and a winner. So I think the training it's taken off. I think with a bit more ammunition, I think we can be very competitive in the Irish trainer ranks.
Yeah, and it's all going to kick off at Dundalk, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Dundalk is a good starting platform. Obviously, in years to come, you'll not be aiming horses just purely at Dundalk. You'd like to be saying, well, there's a good race for him, in May and June at Curran Leopardstown. That's where your ambition is as a trainer. But I definitely think for the first few years, you want to have good, strong all-weather seasons. It's the only flat racing on. Everyone's eyes is on Dundalk. Friday night, everyone's watching you. Everyone's following your horses. So it's good to get your name out there as well. Sometimes you can get lost in the full season. So that's another reason for it.
And when can we expect to see training a few jump horses? When can we see them running?
There's we have. I like the flat. Obviously, I'm dual purpose. We have jump horses coming in. It's more of a thing. A lot of our owners, the local owners, they have jump horses, and so you train them. And I wouldn't imagine, I wouldn't be someone who'd my lifetime ambition of training would be a Cheltenham winner. I would rather be probably a Guineas winner or Epsom Derby winner. But no, we're definitely dual purpose, and I'll probably run. There's 2 horses there that could probably do with summer jumps. Summer jumps isn't proper jumps racing, obviously, but if they want the ground and they're gonna stay the trip, then why not pick up a few races?
Yeah, get as many wins under the belt as possible, anyway.
Yeah, that's it. They're straightforward enough to train the jump horses. Flat horses, they're you blink and the race is done, and they get a bump and they're there's some horses they miss the break, or they get a bump and it's load them up and go home. And jump racing, if you have something that jumps fluidly enough and everything goes right, and they're fit and they stay, they can pick up low grade races. So We'll do that.
And let's say 5 years down the line, where would you possibly see yourself?
5 years. 5 years. I'd definitely like to have probably. Well, I'd say I could say 100 horses, but I'm going to see how it goes. But 90% of the trainers I've worked for are 100 or more. And I think in Irish racing, that's a bit optimistic. Usually some of the best trainers only have 60 horses because Irish racing, it's more quality over quantity, you know. So you'd have to see where that balance comes in. But I'd like a good number of horses and, quality horses. If you could get a nice black type horse every year, I'd be delighted with that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that for your answer and not getting older.
No.
Yeah, well, that's it for me anyway. Dean, Martin, anything else for you?
No, nothing for me.
No, Leanne, do you still have that horse, Walter Sigurd, is it?
Walter Sickert? No, we don't. He was a very fragile horse. He obviously came from Aidan O'Brien's, ran once for him, and then he ran a few times for George Baker. He was bought cheaply from the Ascot sales, and he was always very fragile. He didn't train on, but he was a horse that we took a punt on because of his breeding. He's related to Southern France, and we said, if this horse comes anyway sound, he'll be very competitive. He ran once for the yard at Leopardstown, came fourth, and he just always had a lot of niggles, and it just probably wasn't right to keep training with him. So he's retired now. Next time you see that horse, will probably be out in a hunting field if everything goes well for him.
Well, that wraps things up for the podcast charity Martin for the Irish Cancer Society. If you do want to donate, the link will be in the description below. And Leanne, thank you very, very much for coming on. It's been a privilege.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Leanne.
Yeah, thanks, Liam.